Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable ideas, practical suggestions, which KP will definitely work on. Now I invite respected Secretary of National Biodiversity Authority, Sri Justin Mohan IFS, for the special address on the topic Biodiversity Act, a vehicle for rural development.
Thank you very much, Chairman Kerala State Biodiversity Board, Dr. George Thomas, who is presiding over this function. Additional Chief Secretary Dr. V. Venu sir, who is actually the chief guest of this program. Member Secretary of the Kerala State Biodiversity Board, Srimati Rini Pillai, Chairman NBA Dr. V.B. Mathur, members of the Kerala State Biodiversity Board who would be giving their address, that is Dr. T.S. Swapna, Dr. K.V. Govindan, Dr. K. Satish Kumar, Dr. K.T. Chandramohanan, Dr. Sudish, Scientific Officer, and all the esteemed participants who are attending this conference. I take immense pleasure to give this special address on the topic Biological Diversity Act, a vehicle for rural development. I am thankful to Kerala State Biodiversity Board for giving me this opportunity to address you all. Let me assure the government of Kerala and also the State Biodiversity Board that National Biodiversity Authority has always been helping the board as well as Kerala in all its endeavors. Even recently we had released about 70 lakhs which we had collected as an ABS fund from the companies. Apart from that, we have been providing support for engaging staff and other infrastructural development of the Kerala State Biodiversity Board. As you all know, Biological Diversity Act was enacted in 2002 by the Government of India. As part of India's commitment to the Convention on Biological Diversity of the United Nations. It is an international convention having 196 countries as parties to this convention, including India. This act has three broad objectives. One is the conservation of our precious biological resources, sustainable use of our biological resources, and fair and equitable sharing of benefits that accrue from the use of these biological resources to the communities who actually conserve them or cultivate them. Most of these communities live in the rural areas. They would be either farmers or tribal communities who actually gather a lot of forest produce, medicinal plants, non-wood timber produce from the forest ecosystems and hand over them to the tribal cooperative societies as part of their livelihood. They actually don't know the potential or the actual value of their effort, but companies who procure them make a lot of products and then make huge profit. So as per this act, the companies who are actually accessing biological resources from rural areas will have to share a fair and equitable sharing of benefits to these communities. Now, to implement this act, we have a three-tier institutional mechanism. At the national level, we have the National Biodiversity Authority, which caters to signing agreements, according approvals to all multinational companies or companies having a foreign link in terms of share capital or in terms of their management, or companies which are registered outside but they want to procure biological resources from within the country, or pure foreigners. On the other hand, we have every state has a state biodiversity board and a union territory has a union territory biodiversity council who actually accord approvals for all the Indian based companies, pure Indians, Indian citizens who do not have any foreign participation in their share capital or management. At the grassroots level, we have the biodiversity management committees which actually function within the local body, but they are statutory bodies. They are the primary agents for rural development so far as BD Act is concerned. Apart from this, the Forest Department has been vested with the powers to take cognizance of any offence that is taking place under this Act. So the BMCs play a major role in rural development by way of taking access and benefit sharing amount from the NBA or the SBBs, because NBA, when they are according approvals to companies, they levy a benefit sharing under section 21 of the Act. Similarly, state biodiversity boards levy a benefit sharing under section 24(2) of the Act. So 95% of this benefit sharing, which is popularly called as the ABS, access and benefit sharing amount, has to be transferred to the biodiversity management committees which are functioning in the local bodies. This is just like another standing committee. Kerala was one of the first state in the country to complete the formation of the biodiversity management committees in all its local bodies. Today, I think Kerala has roughly about 1,050 biodiversity management committees in the state. And every biodiversity management committee is expected to prepare a register. It's called a People's Biodiversity Register, to document all the resources, biological resources that are available in the jurisdiction of the village, so that whenever there is a consultation involved with either the NBA or the SBB, the BMC is aware that these resources are moving from their jurisdiction. Apart from the ABS amount that is coming from the National Biodiversity Authority or the State Biodiversity Board, the BMCs are also entitled to levy a charge every time when biological resources are accessed by traders or companies with a commercial motive. So this is actually vested with the biodiversity management committees under section 41(3) of the Act. So basically they are entitled to two types of financial support, biodiversity management committees. That is, one is through the ABS mechanism, and then other is by charging a levy fees every time the resources move outside their jurisdiction. So what is this ABS mechanism? ABS is nothing but when a company or a stakeholder wants to access a biological resource for making any commercial product, there is going to be a commercial gain. So the stakeholder or the company will have to share a small portion of their benefit, ranging between 0.1 to 0.5%, to the communities which are actually supplying them with their raw material. Say for example, a company's sale value of their products is about 1 crore. They have to pay 0.1%, it is roughly about 10,000 rupees as an ABS amount to either the NBA or the State Biodiversity Board, which in turn would be plowed back to the biodiversity management committees. This is some sort of an incentive for the efforts taken by these communities to supply the raw material, and it also serves as a means to regulate the flow of biological resources to the companies. So that helps in achieving the second objective of the Act, that is a sustainable utilization of the biological resources. Also, it helps in the cause of conservation, because the communities, once they know that their resources which they are supplying, raw materials which they are supplying to the companies have a potential value, they take an added interest to conserve them, and then that helps in the sustainable flow of raw materials to the industries. So in order for industries to grow, it is very, very vital for the smooth flow of raw materials, and that is why all these three objectives, that is conservation of biological resources, sustainable use of biological resources, and fair and equitable sharing of benefits, all the three objectives are interlinked, and without one objective being fulfilled, the other two objectives will not get fulfilled. So how does Biodiversity Act or this ABS going to help in rural development? You all know that ever since India got independence, various governments, both the government of India as well as the state governments, have been implementing a variety of rural development projects and schemes aimed at particular sectors. It may be housing sector. We had the Indira Awas Yojana, now it is Prime Minister's Awas Yojana. Similarly, we have the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana to take care of our roads. So similarly, similar programs are implemented for watershed programs, for health issues, insurance issues. Programs have been implemented for the development of women and children and so on. But all these programs are designed with the guidelines which are implemented by the concerned line departments. So there is no scope for changing those guidelines. These rural development schemes are implemented as per their guidelines. But in the case of BD Act, Biological Diversity Act, the amount of money that flows to the BMCs, that is the Biodiversity Management Committees that are functioning at the grassroots level, that is decided by the BMC committee itself as to how this money should be used and for what purpose it should be used. The committee can decide what is the requirement for the village. It may be, for example, renovating a particular school in the village, or maybe providing some basic infrastructure to a particular hospital or a primary health center, or it may be for installing a solar lamp in a particular village, like that. So the committee, in consultation with the local body, they can decide. They have the full autonomy, freedom and independence to decide on how this money has to be utilized. So that is why this fair and equitable sharing of benefit that is in place, as popularly referred to as the ABS mechanism, is very, very crucial for development in the rural areas to happen. And that is why I have always been saying in various forums that this act is a very, very forward-looking act which connects corporate India with the rural India. And once this act is fully implemented, the corporates who are getting the raw material from various sources will plow back a small portion of their gains to these communities, which serves as an incentive and also help in cause of conservation, because the communities, once they know the importance of the species, they will ensure that the species is propagated or protected in their particular areas. Now, the next question is whether all the species being accessed by industries or traders are covered under the act. See, in order to ensure that the citizens are not affected, because we also consume a lot of biological products, agriculture crops, horticulture products we are consuming. So in order to ensure that citizens are not affected, traders are not affected when they are trading a particular crop which is normally traded as a commodity, under section 40 of this act, 421 species have been exempted from the purview of the ABS mechanism. These crops are predominantly horticulture crops, agriculture crops, spices, condiments, a large number of medicinal plants and so on. So when these crops which are exempted under section 40 are used for trade purpose or for commodity which is normally traded, then they need not pay any ABS. The companies which are trading it, they need not pay any ABS. But when a company is doing a research activity or when they are taking a patent for a particular product out of these 421 species, which is not a normally traded commodity, then they will have to be brought under the ABS mechanism. Now, also the communities which are dependent on biological resources for their livelihood, like farmers, like fishermen, like Waids, Hakims who are living in the rural areas, they are also completely exempted from the purview of this act. Now, rural development to be successful, it is very, very important for the local bodies to be more active. And here is a mechanism by which, apart from the funding from the government, that is the state budget which the government gives to the local bodies, here is another source of funds that is coming through the corporates, and this is actually the primary mandate of both the NBA as well as the state biodiversity boards, to ensure that the companies that are functioning in their jurisdiction comply with the act and then they pay this amount so that this is plowed back to the communities. For example, Kerala is one state which is rich in biological resources. It is actually embedded within the Western Ghats, which is considered to be one of the 4 hotspots with rich biodiversity. And a lot of companies depend on biological resources from forest and non-forest ecosystems from the state of Kerala. Take this example of spice sector. Today, spice sector is a 20,000 crore turnover sector. So even if the state is able to convince the spice sector to come and comply with this act. Straight away, if you impose 0.5%, which is a very, very small amount, the State Biodiversity Board is assured of getting about 100 crore annually. And again, there is also the Ayurveda sector. So far as Kerala is concerned, a lot of Ayurveda firms are functioning vibrantly in Kerala, but many of them are not abiding with this act. But if the Kerala SBB takes some initiative, we can get a lot of money from these corporates, and they are not going to help any other people. They are just going to help the communities which are actually helping them in their business. Even now, lot of resources move outside the forest ecosystems through the traders, bypassing the State Biodiversity Board and the Biodiversity Management Committees. So you may be asking, ever since the act was enacted in 2003, why such developments have not happened? It took a lot of time for the country to understand the importance of the act, till order from the National Green Tribunal in 2019 asking all the state governments to immediately constitute the BMCs. Till such time, only Kerala was the only state which had constituted the BMCs, for which we have to appreciate the officers' efforts and the efforts of the local bodies to ensure that the BMCs have been established in Kerala. But other states, this did not happen. And when we took charge of NBA in 2019, when this order was in place, we pursued with the various state governments and various state biodiversity boards, and today we have about 275,000 biodiversity management committees functioning vibrantly across India. So it took a lot of time for us to establish these BMCs, and from now on it is imperative for all the three institutions, that is the NBA, the SBBs and the BMCs, to ensure that the provisions of this act is fully implemented. And from the BMC side, they should be made aware about their powers, for which trainings, capacity buildings are required, and this should be organized by the state biodiversity boards. So far as NBA is concerned, in the last few years, we have been able to take earnest efforts to engage with various sectors of industries, various industrial associations. Even 2 weeks back, we had a detailed discussion, 2-hour discussion with the spice sector, where about 20 prominent spice companies from Kerala had attended a program organized jointly by the National Biodiversity Authority and the Spices Board. So we have to keep engaging with them, and then give them the opportunity to the companies to, even if they want, they can directly be given the option to pay this ABS amount to the BMCs directly, and that can be incorporated in our agreements. So as you are aware, when an applicant has to access a resource, they have to take the approval from either the NBA or the SBB, and if a person is not taking the approval, it constitutes an offence. And so far as the BD Act is concerned, the punishments are very stringent. For a Section 3(2) company, which is a foreign link company, a multinational company, the imprisonment goes up to 5 years. And for an Indian company, the imprisonment goes up to 3 years. So stringent punishments are there. So we will have to engage with these associations, with these companies, to ensure that they comply with the law. And it is a very, very small amount of benefits which they are going to share with these communities. And there are a lot of non-monetary options also available in the Act. If a company is finding it difficult, particularly the startups, the newly established companies, which may be finding difficulties in sharing gains with the SBB or to the BMCs directly, there are options to non-monetary options for them to share their gains. So we have to keep engaging with the companies. And till date, we have been focusing more about biodiversity conservation, perfectly fine. We have been focusing more about documentation. We have been focusing more on creating awareness. It's all perfectly fine. We have, like Kerala has prepared PBRs. I think this is the first state to complete all the PBRs and led the way for other states to replicate the model. It's popularly called the Kerala model of preparing PBRs. It's all fine. But so far as ABS is concerned, I am afraid Kerala has not been able to mobilize ABS till date. But from now on, I feel that we have to move forward and take earnest efforts to mobilize ABS, because that is our prime mandate. NBA and state biodiversity boards actually grant approvals or sign agreements on behalf of our communities which are living in the forest areas, which are living in the rural areas, and we are paid, and this office is functioning for that alone. All other aspects of biodiversity conservation which are peripheral in nature can simultaneously take place, but our focus should be on ABS mechanism. And we in NBA, in the last 2 years, we have signed about 1,700 agreements with the companies, and we will be leaving a legacy. Both myself and the present chairman will be leaving a legacy when we will be leaving this office in the next 10 or 11 months, wherein which NBA is expected to mobilize 1,000 odd crores in the next 5 years. That is our prediction. But if you ask me whether the effort of NBA alone is enough, no, it is not so, because the jurisdiction of NBA is limited only to Section 3(2) entities, which are foreign link companies, which are hardly about 5% of the corporate sector presently working in India. The remaining 95% of the corporates are basically Indian entities which have to take the approval from the state biodiversity boards. So 95% of the ABS has to come to the state biodiversity boards by the Indian companies, for which the role of state biodiversity boards is very, very important. If NBA, state biodiversity boards and BMCs, who have to insist on getting approvals from the NBA or SBBs from the companies who come to the villages, if all the three institutions join together, I am sure that flow of funds from corporate India to rural India will definitely help in rural development in accordance with the provisions of the Act. This is one of the fantastic acts which has been legislated, which has been enacted by modern India. I, as a law graduate, have been exposed to a variety of civil, criminal, corporate laws, but I have never seen such a legislation which has actually become a link for corporate and rural India and serves in a large way to help in rural development of our country. It is only a matter of time when rural India is going to benefit immensely when this act is fully implemented. So I wish Kerala SBB also takes the initiative. Kerala SBB has been taking a lot of initiatives so far as the BD Act is concerned. I only wish that this sustained momentum should continue. Kerala SBB should be more proactive and ensure that the companies which are taking resources from Kerala get the required approvals from the Kerala SBB, and then the ABS being collected goes back to the BMCs or to the villages from where these resources are being mobilized. We from NBA give the assurance that as and when the ABS is being collected from companies who access resources from Kerala, we don't take much time to transfer the amount. You must be aware that even recently we handed over 70 lakh rupees to Kerala SBB, 77 lakhs I think, for undertaking development activities which we mobilized in the form of ABS. And we have recently collected, last week we have collected about 15 crore. I am sure that in the coming days more and more amount would be mobilized, and then it is our mandate to ensure that this amount goes back to the communities and they use this amount as per the provisions of the Act for socio-economic development within the jurisdiction of the village. So with this, I wish this program all success. Rebuild Kerala initiative is one of the fantastic programs undertaken by the government of Kerala. In fact, during the floods, I was actually officiating as the Director of Agriculture Department. I have personally seen the trauma which Kerala had faced, and during that time I was one of the first officer to donate to the CM's disaster management fund of ₹2 lakh rupees. And I only wish that more and more financial support comes to the government, comes to the Kerala State Biodiversity Board, in the form of ABS, and that in turn is plowed back to our rural areas of the state, and which in turn helps to rebuild our Kerala state and help the people directly and indirectly. Thank you all, and I thank Kerala State Biodiversity Board Chairman and the Member Secretary for giving me an opportunity to share my ideas. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your